Hi, everybody. I don't even know where to start. I know that a lot of you are asking questions. I'm still in a little bit of shock. I'm sure Mike is in a little bit of shock too. This is my boyfriend, Mike. Just a little background. I am deaf completely in one ear and I have 10% in another. We were headed to Detroit from Denver, and we weren't late for our flight, but we just got done eating and we were running onto the flight. We bought the front two seats because, get closer to me so you can see you. We bought the front two seats in the Frontier flight because not having hearing, and when I board and when I'm interacting with people, saying excuse me, I don't always hear. I'm afraid I'm gonna get hit by a piece of luggage, or I'm gonna hit somebody, or whatever it might be. So I either make sure I tell them and I need priority boarding, or I buy the front seats so that I can stay out of everybody's way, out of courtesy. I'm really shaken up, so if my words aren't right. But what happened is, as we were getting on the flight, I didn't know that the front seats didn't have stowage. And
underneath the chairs in front of you, because there's no chairs there. So
right.
So as we were boarding, do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
So as we were boarding, we go around the corner, and those are our seats, the first seats. So I'm in front of her. The flight attendant is right in front of me, and as soon as I walk on, she goes, "You got to put everything up here." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I got to put everything up there." Like I was like, "Can I put stuff under the seat, like under my seat?" And she's like, "Do you see a seat in front of you?" And I was like, "No." Okay, all right. So I go, "Oh, okay. I guess we're putting everything up here." So then I turn around to tell her, because she can't hear, she doesn't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. So I put all my stuff up there. I turn around and tell her, "Hey, we have to put everything up there." And she has a couple of questions for me, like, "Wait, can we hold on to anything?" And I was like,
asking him questions. I was not talking to her.
Yeah. She was like, "Well, can I put this on my lap? Like, am I allowed to hold this?" And I was like, "Just put everything up there and we'll get it down as we, once the flight takes off, we can go up there and we'll just grab whatever snacks and stuff we need. Just stuff that we always have on the flight, iPads, whatever." So I sit down, she's asking me these questions, and as she's putting her stuff up there, her mask goes like right to here, just like as it does.
Actually,
anytime you move, obviously, I mean, even in this conversation right now, we're like adjusting them nonstop because that's just the way it is. So as she's putting her stuff in the overhead, her mask comes down to about here, and the flight attendant immediately just jumps in on her, and she's like, "You gotta fix your mask, you gotta fix your mask." She's like yelling at her, and I'm like, what the hell is going on with this lady?
I didn't know because I didn't hear. And I had no idea she was even talking to me.
So she's
no idea.
She's like yelling at her, and I was like, "Babe, you gotta put your mask up." And the lady's going like this, like right in her face.
Well, she was like this, really hard on her nose, and I was like, "What is she doing?" Like in my head, because, like I said, I didn't even know she was talking to me, and all of a sudden I see her just pushing on her nose. Like imagine, you don't know anything has happened. You don't know people are speaking. All you hear is a bunch of fuzz and noise in the background. That's how I hear. So she's pounding on her nose like this, and she goes, "Do you understand this?" And that's when Mike was like, "Hey, your mask." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Oh, I'm deaf." I'm trying to explain to her in a way that she can understand. I only read lips, and I couldn't hear you. And that's when I didn't hear this. Mike did, because I couldn't hear.
Yeah, so she goes, she tells her, she goes, "I only read lips." And I don't know if the lady thought we were just trying to be like smartasses or what it was.
Or we didn't want to wear a mask, which is not true, because I've worn my mask through a pandemic, even working out twice a day. Like, I don't mind any of that.
But it was one of those things, like, she could see clearly that I was explaining to Heather, like I was the one that was like, I was relaying the message that the lady was telling, like, "Hey, you have to put your mask up. This lady's telling you to put your mask up." So when Heather goes, "Oh, I'm deaf. I only read lips. I can only read lips." The lady just goes, "Ah," and she like rolls her eyes, and then she goes, and her and I are looking at each other like, what the hell's wrong with this lady? And then she's going down the rows behind us and like messing with luggage, and she goes, "I'm so over people today." She just says it like that, and I can see everybody else on the plane like kind of looking at this lady like, what the hell's wrong with this lady? And then she goes, I'm so over people today. And I just go, yeah, me too. I just said it like that. I go, yeah, me too. I wasn't even like talking to her. I just overheard. It's like, clearly you're talking about us. I get it. Your job sucks. You hate your life, whatever. I've worked those jobs too. I understand. I've been there. It wasn't like, oh yeah, me too. I hate everybody. I was just like, oh yeah, me too. I'm over everybody too. Like, whatever. And then the next thing I know, I just hear her going, I only read lips. She just kept saying it. She said it like twice, like to other passengers in the rows, like as she was going down the road, like basically just like mocking Heather. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this lady?
Watch your
Like,
language.
sorry, I'm a little heated, but I was like,
I understand.
I'm like, what is this lady's problem?
Yeah.
Then she goes up and she's standing up by, and obviously we're in the very front, we're in the front rows. So the stewardess, the flight attendant section's right there with all the coffee and all the stuff, And then she's just like talking about us. She's like, oh, I'll show them. They want to fly on this flight. And we're just like looking at each other like, what is going on right now?
Right, and I'm very sensitive to the energy that she has, because when you can't hear and you see people's body language and how they're acting, I was like, Mike, she's talking about me. Like, I don't know. She's continuing this. Like, she won't let it go.
She like wouldn't stop talking about
happening, and I don't know.
So she's talking to the other stewardess and the other, flight attendants, like just kind of, she's just like stone faced, and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on right now, and I'm like, this is like really weird. Like, this dragged on way longer than it needed to, and this lady's attitude is like ridiculous. Like I said, like I don't even care about terrible service. Like even in a restaurant, I'll still tip 20% if you're bad at your job. I don't care. We all have bad days, but like this lady was like flat out just mean. She was just like a mean person. I was like, what is going on with this woman? Then we're sitting there, and obviously we're not taking off, and I'm like, this has to be like something's going on. Then a woman comes on, a representative from Frontier, and she comes around the corner, and she's like, she basically opens with, we want you guys to know we have a very strict mask mandate. And they tried to make it seem like it was about the masks, and I was like, hey, like, I understand what you're saying. This isn't about the masks. We don't have a problem with the masks. Like, she couldn't hear her when she told her that her mask was slipping, and the lady got really rude with her. She tried to explain to her that she was deaf and that she only reads lips, and then the lady goes up and down the aisle and is like mocking her. And that woman apologized. She was like, okay, like I get it, I'm sorry, like I'm really sorry this happened. And then she leaves, and then we're like, okay, this thing is done. We're sitting there, we're both just kind of on our phones, like.
But she's still talking about me.
And then that woman's still, the flight attendant's still talking about us. Like I hear her still talking about us. Like, oh, sorry, these are the rules. Like, but she's like saying things like that. Like, you want to fly today? These are the rules. Sorry. And
But
I'm like, what is wrong with this woman?
Like, I can talk clearly. I can understand when Mike's next to me, because, I mean, he's my person and he's got a really deep voice and it's very clear and I can hear that. But if there's other noise going on around me, it's very stressful. And
also, we're on a plane, so like the air conditioner's blaring,
people
everybody's
were talking, luggage is crashing,
luggage is everywhere. It's like, and it's difficult enough.
Humiliated. I'm literally humiliated and mortified that somebody would treat me like that. And I don't just walk around going, hey, I'm deaf, even though I should, because people just don't understand what it's like to have that in their life. Like, I can't hear. Most of the time I'm asking him questions. People probably think it's rude that I'm talking to him and not them, but I can't understand. And what really upset me the most was that I let her treat me like that after she was doing all those things, and Mike didn't even tell me that until later. And then I'm apologizing for how I'm showing up in the world. You know what I mean? I can't help it. I can't help that I'm deaf. And then I'm like, did I do something wrong to Mike? Because it was like abusive. It felt very aggressive.
So mean. She was just a mean lady.
And then the next lady comes on.
And then we're sitting there, and obviously the plane's not taking off, and I'm like, this thing is still going on. I know this is still going on. I see the flight attendant disappearing out of the side door onto that little walkway thing that leads you into the airport, and she's coming back on, and I still hear her muttering stuff, and I'm like, this thing is still going on. Like, this is crazy. And then the next thing we know, a customer service rep comes on, and she goes, she asked the guy next to us to get up. And then he gets up and she goes, can the two of you come with me, please, and grab your belongings? And I'm like, here we go. So then we go we get off the plane, and she's like, in light of, you know, everything that happened, the flight attendants found you to be non-compliant, and you were going to be problematic on the flight. I'm paraphrasing, but she did say non-compliant, and, you know, I'm talking to her, and I'm like, what were we non-compliant about? She was like, the overhead luggage, and I was like, well, she told us that's where I had to go, that's where I put it. And she was like, and then not wearing the masks, and I'm like, wait a minute, like.
And her mask is like this.
And her mask is under her nose, mind you, while
I have a picture of it.
saying all of this, and I'm like, your mask is under yours right now. Like we didn't even have ours off. We had our masks on, like the whole time. Hers just slipped like right to here while she was putting stuff in the overhead compartment. It was insane. And she was like, well, based on what the flight attendants, you know, both corroborated, you're not going to be flying on this flight today. We can either rebook you or...
Which I don't want, because
we
I'm
like,
already scared.
I don't want to fly with you guys again.
Posted
like, are
that,
you serious?
Right, and I posted that post that I'm on a flight, this flight attendant is being rude, and I feel unsafe while I was on that flight before the customer service rep came, because I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I didn't know if they were going to like grab me and smack me around, or I don't know what. This woman was aggressive. And you know what? A lot of times I'm conditioned to be responsible for myself and feel bad. But this was really truly what it was. That was an abusive situation where I had no control over what was going to happen next, and I was scared. And if she's offering me another flight, why in the world would I ever get on another flight where these people are in charge of my life, getting up in the air, where I have no say in what happens to me, obviously, next. So they said, oh, we'll give you a refund. But obviously, like, I'm here with him. We have to get home to my children. Like, there are a lot of things that have to happen next. My keys are in my luggage. They kept my luggage on that plane.
Yeah, so our luggage is on the flight to Detroit, but we had to book. We had this long conversation with the customer service rep, who's basically like,
she said she wasn't sorry.
She's like, I'm not sorry, you know what I mean? I don't have any reason to be sorry. And I was just like, this is the most repugnant behavior I've ever dealt with at any airline ever. And anyone who flies regularly, you know it's not always the easiest. They're not always the easiest to deal with, but you can manage to get through it. And it's like, some days are tougher than the other. But like, it was just like, this woman's behavior was just so reprehensible. Like I honestly couldn't believe it. I felt like I was like, is this really happening? This is happening right now? Like, it didn't feel real. No. That's how insanely out of line this woman was. I was like, I don't even understand what is going on right now.
And I literally kept asking you, like, did I do something wrong? Because I will take responsibility for anything that I'm doing that is going to hurt somebody or make somebody feel uncomfortable. I'm very self-aware like that. And I really honestly it was very scary.
It's just annoying that I couldn't be like, hey, she's deaf, she can't hear you.
To dissolve the situation.
And then if she would have said, I'm so sorry, I didn't know she was deaf, I didn't know she was hearing impaired, I would have been like, it's cool, it's fine, not a big deal. Like, we run into those situations a lot, and people are usually really, really nice about it once they realize what's going on. And it's like, oh, okay, like, they'll either direct questions to me. This happens in restaurants a lot, especially with the masks and stuff. You know, we travel a lot, so it's a lot of like, you know, I'll relay the message to her just so she knows what, you know, what's on the menu or what's going on or what the next step is to whatever process of whatever thing we're doing. But it was like,
there was no winning.
It was unreal. Like, I honestly couldn't believe it. I was like, this is not happening right now.
Exactly. And you guys are saying contact the local news. I tagged a local news station in this live. So if you want to keep tagging them and tag Frontier Airlines, that would be great. This is another thing. I'm about, you know, just squashing the situation and being done with it, and I just want to be over it. But, you know, I've taken situations like this before very lightly, because I know that when people see me, they don't necessarily think, oh, she's deaf or she has a problem, because it's a hidden disability, you know? And
yeah, it's not something people can see, so they don't know. And also, like, I'm
not a victim. I can take care of myself.
Somebody will say something to her, and I'll be like, "Oh, she's deaf," and then they think I'm just like,
joking.
She's deaf. You know what I mean? Like we're the Lockhorns or something. Like, this old bat can't hear. You know what I mean? But I'm literally being like, no, she's deaf. She can't hear you. Like,
he's my service animal.
Yeah. So it's like you try to explain to people, and like in a situation like that where it's like, no, this is getting serious. Like, this woman's like angry at us for whatever reason. It's like, I'm trying to explain to you, this woman is hearing impaired. She has no idea what you're saying. She can't understand you. Right. So I'm trying to talk to her so that this gets cleared up. And then you still have a major problem. And then you mocked her. Like, she mocked you. Like, that was like, I was like, this is completely ridiculous. Like, I don't even understand what's going on right now.
Right. And like, I don't want to be a baby about it because, you know, people treat you certain ways your whole life. But I really don't want this to happen to anybody else. You know, I don't think that, especially in today's climate, like, people need to be very understanding of others and what's happening so that we don't have crazy situations happen like this. I mean,
well, the really annoying thing about it is, like, we were talking to the customer service rep, and she was basically making it seem like it was our fault for not letting them know that you were deaf before you even boarded.
well, that's like the guy that just said, get a hearing aid. It's like, I've tried hearing aids. It doesn't work. It amplifies the background noise that I can hear more than the voices. 1. 2, it gets worse and worse every year. So it's not like I can just go and be like, hey, can I spend $25,000 on some new surgery that won't work? I've had 5 surgeries. It doesn't matter what I've done or what I haven't done with my hearing. If I say to somebody, hey, I really can't hear you and it's a problem, there should be everything, especially you're paying for a service. It's a service we're paying for.
I just feel like once I
Take care of
I'm
me.
like, she's deaf. Like, this is an actual thing all of us are dealing with right now. So let's do our best to just manage this. But then to have her just continue to be rude and just be the way that she was, it was just, I don't know. I was like, I can't even believe someone would behave like this. This is insane. So
It was terrible. So next steps were we have to file a complaint online. We went up to the desk and the lady was more than wonderful.
yeah, the Frontier people that work at like baggage and stuff, where you go up to the counter, they were incredibly nice. And
Right. Gave us the
they apologized.
Yeah.
Like, they were like, we're so sorry this happened. Like, they were super nice, which is like, okay, fine. Like,
but they're
that's
hired,
cool.
they're contracted, they don't work
They're not
for corporate.
Yeah.
So she gave us, because they wouldn't give us the names of the people that were on the flight with us, the front desk lady, the ticket person, gave us the names so that we can make a report. And then, you know, we booked a flight with Delta, which is in a different terminal than ours when we get home. So we have to take the shuttle to Delta, try and find our luggage. My keys for my car are in the luggage.
And the house key is like, all of our stuff is in Detroit at a completely different terminal in Detroit when we land. So,
Right. And we're
yeah.
here till midnight. So I'm like, let's go live. Let's just, you know, everybody's asking questions. Let's just talk to them about what's happening. And hopefully they can share it. And like I said, I mean, the guy next to me, and this, I don't know what happened, okay? So I'm not quoting anything. But the guy next to me was like, I was on my phone, and they literally dragged me off the flight. He had like bruises on his arms.
He was like, they sedated me.
They
He was like,
sedated
Frontier.
him?
Yeah, he's like, Frontier sedated me.
I didn't hear that
because
part.
I was on my phone, and I shouldn't. I mean, this is a completely separate story.
Yeah, we don't
I'm not
know,
going to
but
tell
it was
that guy's
just like
story, but
very
it was
weird.
like, it was like, that just happened to you, and then like 2 minutes later, they were like, we need you guys off the plane, and we were like, what
is happening?
What is going on right
So
now?
it's just, I just don't want it to happen again to anybody else. Like I said, I'm a big girl. Mike, it takes a really good care of me wherever we go and helps me here. And I do appreciate that. Thank you, babe. I
You're welcome.
appreciate it. And, you know, whoever I'm with is very understanding. Sometimes it's hard for people that, you know, you can't really tell that something's going on. So you just expect somebody who's there as an attendant to attend to you.
It just seemed completely unreasonable.
And it just wasn't okay.
At every turn. It was like,
Yeah.
anything we asked, it was a problem. Anything we tried to like work on, it was a problem. Anything we tried to clarify was a problem. It was like, I just did, there was like no avenue to take where
It could
this
be
woman
squashed.
wasn't going to have a problem.
She really just wanted us off the
I
plane
was like,
because
I
I
just-
believe she was embarrassed. She was embarrassed to learn that I actually did have a problem.
Right.
And
then once it was that, then it was, oh, they don't want to wear the masks. And it was like, that we've had our masks on the whole time. Like,
Exactly.
That's not an issue. That's a non-issue.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm not
yeah.
out to prove whether I'm a man. You know what I mean? Like I love that I can protect people and myself and whatever. It doesn't have anything to do with that. I just feel like, you know, if somebody's there to attend to you, then they need to listen and never ever use their quote unquote power to, you know, make people feel like they don't have any right.
It's
to
crazy
say-
though, because it's crazy too, because I fly Frontier all the time. I mean, I'm on tour constantly. I fly Frontier probably, 6 times a month. Like, I use that airline all the time. It's a quick one out of Denver. It's a quick one to, Austin to Denver, Denver to Austin. I use it all the time, but now I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess you know, I'm done with you guys.
I just feel very fortunate that we could get on another flight, that we could afford to get on another flight, that we're safe now. I will not forget the way she treated me. I obviously feel, you know, I'm mortified. It's humiliating when people treat you like that, especially when you're screaming to people like, hey, I'm deaf, and everybody thinks you're a maniac, and you're not. I just can't hear you. So anyway, we're gonna let you go.
We'll be in the airport for the next 7 hours.
Yeah, we'll be here, just like, chilling on the floor.
Like Tom Hanks in Terminal. We live
right?
here now.
I
Yeah.
wait. We wait.
We wait.
Okay, everybody, thanks for your support. I do appreciate it. Thanks for tagging and sharing and all of that. Not only our situation will get better from this, so many other people too. I really do feel. I know it's not like some sort of huge world issue, but
it's just bad optics for them. I don't understand how somebody could be that unreasonable. It doesn't make sense to me. So
it's sad.
Yeah.
All right, love y'all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.